What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a beginner's guide to portrait photography. So whether you are a complete beginner or have some experience but want to brush up on the fundamentals of taking portraits, this video is for you. In this video, you'll learn how to shoot beautiful, natural-looking portraits, even if you're just starting out. I'm here to help you take your portrait photography to the next level. And let's dive right in. First things first, the gear that you need. Now I assume most of you guys probably already have a DSLR or mirrorless camera, or maybe just a phone with a portrait mode. If you have a phone, then you can totally take beautiful portraits with it. The only thing you need to pay attention to is getting good lighting, because without good lighting your photos are gonna look flat and lifeless. In fact, if you just want to get started with your phone, go ahead and skip all the way to step number 4 where I talk about lighting. Otherwise, if you have a camera, I highly recommend having a 50mm f1.8 lens. That is my favorite lens for taking portraits because it gets you really close to your subject so you can capture those little details, and it also has a wide aperture, which gives you that creamy background blur that makes your subject stand out. But if you don't have that lens, that's okay. You can use any lens that you have. Just know that the longer the focal length, like 85mm or 135mm, the more compressed your image will be. So, you won't have that much room to work with. If you have some extra cash to spend, it might be worthwhile to pick up a reflector or a softbox for your camera. A reflector is basically just a white or silver umbrella that bounces light onto your subject, and a softbox is just a bigger version of that creates a bigger, softer light source. Both of these are really good to have, especially when you're shooting outside and the sun is too bright or there isn't enough light to begin with. However, they are not necessary. You can definitely take amazing portraits with just the basic kit lens that comes with the camera. Now before we move on, if you're getting value from this video, please hit that like button. It really helps us grow and it tells the platform that you guys want to see more videos like this. Alright, let's continue. Next up is your camera settings. If you have a DSLR or mirrorless camera, I recommend shooting in aperture priority mode. This is represented by the letter or of on the mode dial. This basically allows you to set the aperture, which is f1.8, f2.8, etc., and the camera will automatically adjust the shutter speed so that your photo is properly exposed. Now if you're shooting in manual mode, which I definitely encourage you to try, the shutter speed should be around 1/125th of a second or faster. That's just so that you don't get any blurry images from your subject moving. Now for aperture, you always want to shoot at a wide aperture, meaning f1.8, f2, f2.8. Basically the lower the f number, the better. This gives you that shallow depth of field, which means that the background will be nice and blurry. And that's one of the main characteristics of a portrait. Now in terms of ISO, which is how sensitive the camera sensor is to light, you want to keep that as low as possible, like 100, 200, 400. If you're shooting outside in daylight, then you really don't need to worry about increasing the ISO. Next, focus. You want to put your autofocus point on the eyes. This is called single point autofocus. Basically, you want the focus point to be as small as possible, like a dot, and you want to place that dot on the eye. That's the best way to ensure that your images are sharp. Okay, now let's move on to lighting. As photographers, we don't actually create the light. We just manipulate it to our advantage. This means that 99% of your portraits will be shot in available light, meaning you're using the light that's already there. The best light for portraits is soft, diffused natural light. This can be found in shade, window light, golden hour, basically anywhere where the light is not too harsh or contrasty. The worst time of day to shoot portraits outside is usually around noon when the sun is high in the sky and the shadows are really strong. You can still shoot portraits at this time of day, however. It's doable, but you just have to be aware of the challenges that come with harsh lighting, like dealing with blown-out highlights, deep shadows, etc. You also have the option of using flash, but if you're just starting out, I would recommend just sticking with natural light. And if you're interested in learning more about off-camera flash, let me know in the comments below. One of the most popular portrait styles is Rembrandt lighting. This is named after the famous painter Rembrandt, and it consists of putting your subject at a 45-degree angle to the sun so that there is a triangle of light on their face. There's also another style of portrait lighting that I love, which is side lighting. This is where the light is coming from directly to the side of your subject. This creates a lot of depth on the face because the light is hitting one side and the shadow is hitting the other side. Now, if you want to take your portrait photography to the next level, then I highly recommend that you invest in a flash and a softbox. This will allow you to control the lighting in every situation, even indoors. But again, this is not necessary if you're just starting out. Next up, let's talk about composition and posing. For composition, there are a million rules, but the main one that I like to follow is the rule of thirds. This basically says that you should place your subject along the lines of a tic-tac-toe grid that overlays your image. This creates a more interesting composition than just placing your subject dead center. You should also always leave headroom, meaning there should be space above your subject's head. Nothing worse than a portrait where the person is right up against the top of the frame. It just looks like you chopped off their head. Also, make sure that you're not doing any weird crops where the person's head is way bigger than their body. You always want their shoulders to be at an angle. So don't shoot straight down onto your subject. Always tilt your camera slightly upward. As far as posing goes, you don't want your subject to be stiff and unnatural looking. This is why I prefer to work with people who are comfortable being in front of the camera. But if you're working with someone who is not a model, just give them some prompts instead of telling them exactly what to do. For example, you could say something like, turn your head to the right and look down and to the left. Or you could say, look like you're thinking about something else. Basically, you want your subject to be as relaxed and natural looking as possible. For backgrounds, it's best to keep it simple. You don't want anything too busy or distracting. It's also nice to create separation between your subject and the background. You can do this by having your subject closer to the camera and the background further away. This will create a shallower depth of field and the background will be even more blurry. Another tip for backgrounds is to use leading lines or objects in the environment to frame your subject. This can be done with trees, buildings, doorways, windows, etc. It just adds another layer of interest to your images. Finally, we have editing. I personally like to edit my photos in Lightroom or Snapseed, but that's not really important. What's important is that you understand the basics of editing. This means adjusting the exposure, contrast, and skin tones. Sometimes you may need to decrease the exposure or increase the contrast, but you want to be careful not to overdo it. The goal is to enhance the natural features of your subject, not to create an unrealistic or over-edited look. That was a quick beginner's guide to portrait photography. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something new. Here's a few bonus tips to help you on your portrait photography journey. Number 1. Practice, practice, practice. Take as many portraits as possible and experiment with different lighting and angles. Number 2. Ask your friends or family to pose for you. This is a great way to improve your skills and also build a portfolio. 3. Have fun. Portrait photography is all about capturing the beauty of the individual. So relax, enjoy the process, and let your creativity flow. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more tutorials like this. Check out the links below for more resources, and if you want to see more of my work, visit my website. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.